The chime of the bell beckons us into a sacred time. Welcome to the First Unitarian Universalist Church of Houston, where we widen love's circle by honoring the inherent worth and dignity of all. We extend a heartfelt and inclusive invitation for you to join us in meaningful worship and in service to this world. Buenos días y bienvenidos a esta comunidad donde ampliamos el círculo del amor, honorando el valor y la dignidad inherentes de todos. We greet all those who join us this morning. We hope those watching the live stream will fill out the online attendance form and refer to the many announcements in the online order of service. We ask those here in person to take a moment after the service and introduce yourself to someone you don't yet know. Now, please join the choir and I as we sing Morning Has Come, and I hope you sing it too. Please rise and embody your spirit, and it's number 1000 in your teal hymnal.
Has come. Let us all embrace the brightness of the day. May it and the time we share contain joy, space for solace, hope, love, dance, song, and the opportunity to celebrate all that is good within the human heart. In that spirit, I say, come, friends. Let us worship together.
Celebremos compartiendo nuestras vidas, encendiendo esta luz.
Please join me now in our covenant. It will be found in your order of service if you don't have it by heart yet. And I think, forgive me. I'll try again. Thank you. That's a help. Love is the spirit of our congregation. Service is our prayer. to dwell together in peace, to seek truth in love, and to encourage one another. Thus do we come.
Hello, everyone. I'm your board president, Cheryl Abrahams. Our congregation has a very exciting fundraiser activity coming up, the Arts Scavenger. And given what a wonderful opportunity it is, I wanted to share this message with all of you in love. My team and I are going to destroy you. There is literally no place I won't go to win this scavenger hunt. Up a tree? No problem. On top of a hill? No problem. Underwater? No problem. As I said, there's nowhere I won't go. In a dog crate with one or more dogs in it? No problem. Getting reservations at the new Perseid restaurant at the Hotel St. Augustine? No problem. Wait, what do you mean the first available is September? Well, what if I just sit in the kitchen or something? I hope that this message has encouraged some of you to participate in this incredibly exciting opportunity, even knowing that my team and I will ultimately be victorious. Please note that no covenants were harmed in the making of these videos.
Now is the time when we send our young people off to their religious education program. Young folks, we love you, and we are so glad that you are part of our congregation, because you're not just a part of our future, but an important part of our present right now. And I think you're going to be going off with John and some volunteers to do some really fun stuff today. So as they head off, please join with me in singing the words in our order of service as you go. Please join with me in the spirit that some call prayer and others name meditation. Open yourself to the wonders and mysteries of the world. Open yourself to compassion and empathy. Take one breath. Take another. Find your center. Spirit of life, known to some as God, Allah, the divine spark within, and others as the highest aspiration in the human heart, move through us and within us this day, as we begin the observation of Women's History Month and mark the 3rd anniversary of the war in Ukraine. Remind us of the power of women to shape the world, and help us recall that all of us, whatever our gender, wherever we are from, whomever we are woman-born, and that only a society that celebrates the power and vision of women, a society that creates opportunity for liberty, justice, and prosperity for all, can realize its full potential. Help us remember that women often make the best leaders and have frequently called forth within all of us our human best. Let us recognize that the shameful scene in the Oval Office was a scene between men in which the boastful and prideful put forth their untruths and narrow senses of the world in the place of the greater goal of human solidarity. As we do these things, let us recommit to using our hearts and hands to creating a society where peace reigns everywhere. Let us pray especially for peace in Ukraine, and pray that women soon will have no fear anywhere of having their health care maligned or limited, and will be recognized everywhere as truly full citizens. That it might be so, I invite the congregation to say Amen. We pause now together to lift up that which sits heavy and light on our hearts. Kathy Bosson, Patty Ryan, and Joe Zaleski are all continuing to recover from surgeries. Albert Puccio's mother, Haiti, has been moved to a skilled nursing facility. P.D. Wadler and his brother continue to care for their father during ongoing health problems. We send all of these members and friends of our community healing thoughts for speedy recoveries. Rudy Hamrick, father of Conrad Hamrick and father-in-law of Reverend Scott Cooper, died this past week. We send our care and compassion to Conrad, Reverend Scott, and their entire extended family during this difficult time. We now turn to a practice inspired by African, Indigenous, and Neo-Pagan communities. We say aloud or bring to mind those we wish to have held in the loving embrace of our religious community. we hear these names and hold them in our hearts. Amid this great cloud of witness and memory, amid this beloved community, let us also extend our empathy to all of the suffering that has gone unnamed and celebrate all the joy in our community that has gone unspoken. We pause in awe and wonder of the beauty, diversity, and mystery that is life. And so, in the spirit of love, in the spirit of hope, and in the spirit of compassion, we enter into a time of silent meditation, reflection, or prayer.
Each week, the morning offering is shared with an organization that shares our Unitarian Universalist values and through which we may live out our principles in the world. This week, we are donating to the Houston chapter of the Sunrise Movement. The National Sunrise Movement is dedicated to stopping climate change and dismantle systems of white supremacy and colonialism, all the while creating millions of good jobs in the process. This morning, we welcome Isaac Metcalf to tell us more.
Thank you. Good morning. Sunrise Houston, Sunrise Houston is a youth-led climate advocacy organization. We're a collection of young people who have seen the world careening towards apocalypse and are trying to do something to stop it. At the national level, Sunrise Houston advocates for the Green New Deal, which is a merging of FDR-style social programs with a focus on ending climate change. At the local level, Sunrise Houston is trying our best to fight back against all of the bad things that are happening in the city of Houston right now. In my mind, you need three things to be an effective organization and fight for change in this moment. You need a vision for a future in which things are better. You need the ingenuity to make a plan to get to that future. And then you need the determination to see that plan through. And we have to multiply that cycle through 1 million little victories and then 1 million very big victories. Which means that right now, the things that Sunrise are doing might seem really small. In Houston, most of what I do is every month I go and I talk at the Metro board meetings, and I ask them to make the Gulfton BRT, which is about to be designed, as good as it could possibly be. And sometimes it feels hopeless because this is just one small fight, and I'm not even sure if we'll win it. But Sunrise has shown me that there's so many people who want to fight alongside me, who want to fight all of those 1 million little fights and 1 million big fights. And I have hope that together we can work towards a better future. And I didn't really know what to say at this, so I'm going to end with a little poem I wrote. How many hands can stretch between that future and the one I've seen? A future that still floats in air. Reach out and take it. It's right there. Thank you.
Those in our sanctuary will find the instructions for text giving in the order of service next to the name of the shared offering recipient. And those watching live stream will see the instructions on your screen. Our regular Sunday morning collection invites us to weave a tapestry of love and action. We ask you to give generously. An offering will now be gratefully received.
Please join with me in dedicating the words to our offering found in your order of service. To the work of this church, which is weaving a tapestry of love and action, we dedicate our lives, and these our offerings. The first reading this morning
is from The Parable of the Sower by Octavia Butler. Your teachers are all around you. All that you perceive, all that you experience, all that is given to you or taken from you, all that you love or hate, need or fear, will teach you if you will learn. God is your first and your last teacher. God is your harshest teacher, subtle, demanding, learn or die. All that you touch, you change. All that you change, changes you. The only lasting truth is change. God is change. Here ends the first reading.
The destiny of Earth's seed is to take root among the stars. It is to live and thrive on new earths. It is to become new beings and to consider new questions. It is to leap into the heavens again and again. It is to explore the vastness of heaven. It is to explore the vastness of ourselves. Here ends the second reading.
Now, to open your hymnals, the teal ones, to number 1059, May Your Life Be as a Song. And as you see, it is a round, so our choir is coming to help you out. We're going to sing it all together one time through, and then we're going to have the group over here in the front sing part one. This part over here in the front will sing part two. In the back over there will be part three. The tenors should be over in the back over there. And then over in the back over here, the basses will help you all sing part four. So we're going to do it 2 times all the way through. All right. 1059. Please rise and body your spirit.
Dancing circles in the night.
When I was in high school, my brother and I used to have a regular Sunday morning routine. We would get up, we would go to church, and then when we would come home, we would watch reruns of Star Trek, The Next Generation. We spent enough time watching it that I can still recite by heart, I think, the opening lines from the credits. Space, the final frontier. These are the voyages of the Star Trek Enterprise. Its continuing mission to explore strange new worlds, to seek out new life, and to boldly go where no one has gone before. To boldly go where no one has gone before. It does not feel coincidental that we used to watch Star Trek after church. Science fiction and religion have something in common. They each call upon us to imagine the future. Science fiction does this by casting visions of what might be in times to come. Paints a picture of how humans shall be in the coming decades or coming millennium. Religion, meanwhile, is, as the Unitarian Universalist theologian Forrest Church described it, our human response to the dual reality of being alive and having to die. Religious narratives are always concerned with questions about where do we come from and where are we going. Before I formed you in the womb, I chose you. Read the confident words of the prophet Jeremiah in the Hebrew Bible. Does a person live after death, or does she not? Asks the mortal Nachiketa of Yama, the god of death, in the why am I having trouble with that word? Upashans, thank you. Does a person live after death, or does she not? I have no definitive answers to such religious queries, but I do know that the views that we have both about the future and life after death have tremendous consequences for how we live our lives. Over the course of the year, our Future Visions, Future Selves series has been exploring different aspects of the future, personal, societal, and planetary. Today we are turning to one of the great future imaginings, the question of whether or not humanity has a future amongst the stars. The issue is directly tied to life after death. It revolves around the query as to whether or not humanity is fatally connected to this terrestrial sphere. There's a possibility we might collectively transcend our earthly bounds and ascend to who shall know where? The moon, Mars, to some distant planet beyond our solar boundary, past Neptune, farther than the poor, demoted dwarf Pluto, out into the interstellar regions where our distant descendants shall escape the inevitable extinction of our earthly realm. And then there's the chance that our world of live oaks, ball moss, dancing squirrels, chittering birds, shimmering crustacean-strewn oceans, iced mountains, and verdant plains is all that our species shall ever know. When the earth ends, so shall we, if the madmen in power do not destroy us all first. To boldly go where no one has gone before. Religious narratives and science fiction stories tend to fall into two categories about our human futures. The first we might call the Mad Max version. The second we might call Star Trek. Mad Max, Star Trek, I suspect you're familiar with both franchises. The first is set on a dystopian Earth. In it, the titular character navigates a world that has descended into each against all. Nation states have collapsed, resources are scant, pollution is ever present, food is hard to find, gangs and warlords compete against each other for domination. Only the toughest survive. Anyone who can make it makes it on their own. No one can be trusted. No place is safe. Whether or not I make it has little to do with whether or not you make it. The religious version of this narrative is the vision of individual salvation. Only some of us are going to get saved, it runs. God does not really love all of her creations, it claims. Some of us are destined for heaven, and others will be eternally damned to hell. Our religious ancestors had a different vision. They believed in universal salvation. All must finally be saved, preached the Universalist John Murray. We're all bound up together in one great bundle of humanity, claimed the Unitarian Francis Ellen Watkins Harper. In such narratives, either everyone goes to heaven, we all get free together, or no one does. This is the religious vision of Star Trek. If Mad Max conjures the specter of unmitigated disaster, my name is Max, my world is fire and blood, the protagonist declares in one opening scene. Then Star Trek summons a different fantasy. In it, humans have come to cooperate across first the Earth, and then eventually the entire solar system. Racism, sexism, and homophobia are things of the past. War is rare. It mostly occurs when one species encounters another. Humanity has united for its own betterment and the continual pursuit of scientific progress, not just across the planet, but in a federation of interstellar intelligent species devoted to liberty, equality, and justice. Poverty has been essentially eliminated. Most people live in societies that could be broadly described as socialist. Free quality education, housing, food, and healthcare abound. Fire and blood, space, the final frontier. It appears that we are tilting more towards the Mad Max version of the world at the moment. The president's America First theory of international relations, if we can call it a theory, seems to be based on the rather shallow belief that every nation is best off by itself. This is a strange delusion that ignores the reality that humanity and the economy is more internationally interconnected than ever before. Elon Musk's reckless chainsaw to the federal workforce probably does not come from altruistic motives. His so-called Department of Government Efficiency seems to have specifically targeted federal agencies where inspector generals are investigating or were investigating his companies prior to the president's inauguration. The inspector general of the Department of Labor was fired. He had 17 open investigations against Tesla and SpaceX. The inspector generals of the Department of Transportation and the Environmental Protection Agency were investigating Tesla as well, also fired. The inspector general of the Department of Defense was fired. He was looking into Musk's illegal drug use and secret conversations with Vladimir Putin. The two apparently started talking in 2022, and how that might probe a risk to the nation's defense industries. whatever the rhetoric around saving public money and returning decision-making power to the taxpayers, it seems clear that Musk's motivation stems from his desire to protect his private wealth. He might be trying to stay out of prison. Individual salvation, the Mad Max version of the future, rather than a commitment to the public good, appears quite present in his mind. He sometimes even seems like a villain out of a science fiction story. The appearance is far from coincidental. His father named him Elon after a character in Wernher von Braun's novel Project Mars. Braun was the Nazis' leading rocket scientist. The novel depicts the colonization of Mars as part of a divine plan to create the Übermensch, alternatively called the Superman. One of the Third Reich's stated goals was to craft supposedly perfect humans. Defeated on Earth, Braun imagined Hitler's followers reigning over the Red Planet. Their leader was titled the Elon. Musk's father, this falls under, you cannot make this up. Musk's father literally gave him a name that can be rendered Chief Space Nazi. And it's not coincidental that his dreams include the human conquest of Mars. Now, I aspire for a better future amongst the stars. There are enough Nazis here on Earth. We don't need them inhabiting the celestial realms. Even the most distressing science fiction stories should be warnings. George Orwell's 1984 is not a how-to manual, as the journalist Daniel Kurtzman once observed. Orwell's novel famously ends with the snuffing out of any sense of agency or aspiration for freedom in the novel's protagonist. But not all science fiction concludes with such an extinction of the human good. In my book group this month, we are reading Octavia Butler's novel, The Parable of the Sower. For those that don't know, Butler was one of the first Afrocentric science fiction writers. In a genre dominated by old white men, she was a genuine revolutionary. Star Trek actor and reading advocate LeVar Burton has said, over the course of her career, she won a MacArthur Fellowship, also known as a Genius Grant, and every major science fiction award. The Parable of the Sower and its sequel, Parable of the Talents, were probably her masterpieces. Written in the 1990s, they're set in our decade. They seem remarkably prescient and contain the contrasting possibilities found in Mad Max and Star Trek: individual salvation or collective liberation. The underlying premise of the series, the destiny of Earthseed, is to take root among the stars. Its overall message is simple. To survive, humanity must share a collective vision for its betterment. We have to understand, to call back to Frances Ellen Watkins Harper, that society cannot trample on the weakest of its members without receiving the curse on its own soul. Such an understanding might be captured in the warning of Vladimir Zelensky to the president last week. You have a nice ocean and don't feel the problems from the Russian invasion of Ukraine here now, but you will feel it in the future. It also exists in the Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King Jr.'s words. We must all learn to live together, or we will all perish together like fools. Perish like fools. The Parable of the Sower tells the story of Lauren Olamina during the collapse of this country. The fictional president, Christopher Donner, bears a striking resemblance to the current president. He loosens labor laws to essentially reinstitute slavery. A global climate crisis has caused widespread breakdown. California burns, technological breakthroughs and policy mismanagement have caused severe economic inequality. The middle class, or the middle part of the working class, has all but disappeared. The wealthy have walled themselves off in prosperous enclaves. Police and firefighters protect only those who can afford their services. Everyone else is on their own. The United States is divided between walled compounds and the desolation outside of them. Inside the walls, life continues to resemble something near the way people live now. Most people are poorer, most resources are scarcer, but there's still access to education, health care, and food of some kind. Outside the walls, well, I think that Butler took a little bit of inspiration from Mad Max. Marauding, drug-fueled gangs terrorize everyone who does not have the resources to own a weapon. Life is nasty, brutish, and short, to invoke the philosopher Thomas Hobbes. The novel describes how Lauren Almina is gradually transformed into the prophet of a new religion, Earthseed. When she finds herself outside of the bounds of the compound in which she grew up, she must learn how to survive. So she develops this new religion, which helps the characters remain alive and which might offer us inspiration as we seek to live through these times. I want to lift up 3 lessons from the book. The first, the only lasting truth is change. Second, the destiny of Earthseed is to take root among the stars. Third, it is to explore the vastness of ourselves. Change, the only lasting truth. God is change, Almina tells her followers. Resisting this truth, clinging to what has been, does not offer a path to survival. It is only by embracing the reality that everything is changing all the time that we can make it through. In the novels, the characters who survive are the ones who recognize that the country that they have known is falling apart. The ones who die are the ones who cling to the way things have been. To survive is to acknowledge that every social change contains within it unknown possibilities. Our task is to seize the possibilities of the moment rather than to try to desperately hold on to what has been. The destiny of Earthseed is to take root among the stars. Almina believes that the only way humanity can better itself is if people embrace a vision that involves a struggle for collective betterment. She casts one in which humanity acknowledges that its purpose is to spread life amongst the stars. For her followers, this vision proves to be enough of a motive to make personal sacrifices and pursue the collective good. It is to explore the vastness of ourselves. The second lesson is closely connected to the third. It's not all that different from Star Trek, in which the crews of various starships cooperate together to build a thriving society while always questing for new knowledge about both themselves and the universe. In the novel, it is only through cooperation that people can achieve any modicum of the good. Pursuing the philosophy of each against all, those left in walled compounds or suffering on the side of the road are destined to perish. Dreaming of life in the celestial sphere, well, I better not give away the end of the series. Embrace change, cast a larger vision, commit to cooperation rather than competition. I suspect that if you can think of a time in your life when you've benefited from such lessons. I would suggest that within our religious community, we've tried to implement them, and that in doing so, we've put our congregation onto the path of collectively thriving. Think about the recent history of First Unitarian Universalist. After the negotiated resignation of my predecessor, the congregation's leadership recognized that First Unitarian Universalist needed to change. It was the second time that the congregation had had a negotiated resignation within a decade. And so rather than fight change and try to keep the status quo, the board realized it was time to revamp the way things functioned. Rather than immediately jumping into a relationship with a new settled minister, I worked with them and with all of the members of the congregation to explore the ways that the congregation needed to change so that it might thrive into the future. One of the things that was identified during these conversations was that we lacked a larger vision. As a result, the committee did the hard work of developing a new congregational vision, mission, and covenant. We now say we are devoted to widening love's circle. We take love as the spirit of our congregation, and service is our prayer. And we aspire to be a pillar congregation for Houstonians of many faiths and have committed to being a growing, multi-generational, and multiracial community. These aspirations guide your board and your staff as we make decisions. Finally, we've tried to embrace the simple truth of congregational life. We are better when we work together than when we compete against each other. As best we can, and there's always room for improvement, the staff tries to work with members of the congregation to achieve our larger vision. I think that right now our stewardship efforts provide a great illustration of this. Instead of leaving everything up to the annual pledge drive, the stewardship team has been working with Margarita to create a culture of holistic stewardship. Stewardship can be about the fun we have together. So they, led by congregant Sarah Brown Rankin, are launching a competitive art scavenger hunt, Art Scaventure, which I've been told Cheryl is going to win. But stewardship is also about building intergenerational community. So they held the congregation's first family picnic in many years last Saturday. I'm told it was a beautiful event. Embrace change, cast a larger vision, and cooperate. These three lessons might help us all move through the next difficult years. I don't want to live in a society ruled by Elons, either the Afrikaner or space Nazi variety. I want to be part of a global community where there is peace, justice, and liberty and prosperity for all. During this time of tumult, religious communities like ours have the potential to tilt this country in that direction. There's numerous opportunities to do so in the coming weeks. Next Monday, you can participate in the 11 a.m. March for Our Future Generations downtown. Throughout the month, you can engage in our many community service projects. And on March 17th, you can join me and members of our Justice Coordinating Committee, or Council, as we travel to Austin to take part in the Texas Unitarian Universalist Justice Ministry's annual Lobby Day. But I want to close with a particular action I think is worth lifting up. It's a corporate fast or boycott focusing on, at least initially, Target. Prior to the inauguration of the current president, the Target had committed to invest $2 billion into the African American community. Since his inauguration, the company has revoked that pledge. In response, Pastor Jamal Bryant, senior minister of the New Missionary Baptist Church outside of Atlanta, one of the largest African American congregations in the country, has called for a Lenten or 40-day fast or boycott of the corporation. It has 4 specific concrete demands, all tied to building up the African American community. These are restoring the $2 billion pledge, depositing $250 million in black-owned banks, recommitting to diversity, equity, and inclusion, and developing community centers at 10 historically black colleges or universities devoted to teaching retail business. Already 100,000 people, including my family, have committed to take part in the boycott. I suspect it has the potential to be successful because it is adapting to the changing cultural environment by issuing specific achievable demands. It's casting a larger vision of prosperity for African American communities and creating the possibility of cooperation across congregations and across the country. So I encourage you to join me in participating in it. Doing so is a way we can practice the lessons of embracing change, casting a larger vision, and pursuing cooperation that's contained both within Star Trek and Butler's dream for the future of humanity amongst the stars. It's also a way we can continue to pursue those old universalist hopes of collective liberation, well expressed in Frances Ellen Watkins Harper's words. We are all bound up together in one great bundle of humanity. May we, by casting our eyes towards the stars, find such a vision growing within our hearts today, tomorrow, and in all of the hours of our lives. That it might be so, I invite the congregation to say, Amen.
Amen. I invite you to open your hymnals once again to number 1064, Blue Boat Home. Please rise in body or in spirit and join your voices with us in song.
Say
If you will remain standing as we extinguish the flame, the words are in your order of service. We extinguish this flame, but not the light of truth, the warmth of community, or the fire of commitment. These we carry in our hearts until they are together again.
We close with these words from Octavia Butler. Your teachers are all around you. All that you can perceive, all that you experience, all that is given to you or taken from you, all that you love or hate, need or fear, will teach you if you will learn. Let us then, as we leave this place, embrace being together as a community of teachers, where we can each teach each other what we need to survive. The ability to change, the power to cast a larger vision, and a commitment to cooperate. Let us go in peace. Let us go in love. May our lives be a blessing. Amen.
Thank you for joining us. We want to know who you are and would love to connect with you. Please fill out the link to the online attendance form, and if you are on YouTube, click like and subscribe. If you're interested in joining our congregation, email us at membership@firstuuhouston.org. Thanks so much.